Howdy, y'all. It's July.
Yes, happy July, Cheese of the Month Club. And I have missed your faces the last 2 months, so I'm excited to be back.
Yes, absolutely.
We've been like going and coming.
Going, moving fast.
Thanks for holding down the fort.
I've been crushing it for you, my love.
I know,
It's all good. It's
all
all
right.
good. This is great. It's a great time to be with y'all again. We are I say it every time, so thrilled to be here.
And we've
awesome.
got a fun theme this month. This month we are doing Mediterranean cheeses. So I think we should just dive in. But first, we talk about it oftentimes. Mediterranean, what's the Mediterranean basin? And I think some of us come from an oftentimes very Eurocentric view. And sadly, the Eurocentric cheeses these are amazing cheeses. We just wish we could represent all of the Mediterranean basin. So when we think, what are the countries that lie around the Mediterranean Sea? Of course, you have Spain. They still include Portugal in that, even though I don't think it touches it. But Portugal, Spain, southern France. I'm trying to move around.
Italy.
Italy, Greece, Turkey, Syria.
Croatia's in there.
Then we go to the top of Africa, so like northern Egypt and Tunisia and Algeria, I think, Morocco, and then over some of the islands like the Cape Verde Islands and some in there. So while I wish we could have some of those North African cheeses and I want to learn some more about it, we'll just have to travel there. Mm-hmm. We are going to stick to some other more Eurocentric cheeses, but I'm excited because we have some on here that we haven't even tried before.
Right.
Like we brought them in for Cheese Club.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. So excited, y'all.
Okay.
So thrilled.
Other things I love I'm just kicking it off. Is that okay?
Why don't you run with it? See how far you can go, and then I'll take over.
I can go forever. I'm the Energizer Bunny with cheese. So let's see. Other thing that I always love talking about when we talk about this subject is the Mediterranean diet. And there actually is a diet out there called the Mediterranean diet. But what does the Mediterranean diet consist of? So it's principally like vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes, potatoes, whole grains and breads, fish and seafood, olive oil, tons of extra virgin olive oil, and then in moderation, cheese and yogurt and dairy.
Oftentimes, when that word, the Mediterranean diet's used, it specifically pinpoints the Cretan diet that is like very heavy on those greens and those like wild herbs and things. And so
the reason I love pointing it out is it's all to say one of the myths we are always busting is that yes, cheese can be healthy and cheese can be part of a healthy diet and it can be a really good source of proteins and fats, and when paired with vegetables and fruits is basically a complete superfood.
Just amazing. Absolutely.
All right, go Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
All right, so
and so we've got 5 cheese. So this is Taste of Place. Every 3 months we rotate. So Taste of Place is our opportunity to kind of showcase sometimes very specific micro ecosystem, ecological area. Or something a bit more macro, so Mediterranean. So it's sort of the essence of the climate of that space, the humidity, the temperature.
So cool, rainy. So the terroir there, and when we talk about terroir, we talk about specificity of place. The terroir there really is this cool, rainy winters, and then these really dry, hot summers, and that going into everything that makes the grasses taste the way they taste, and when the animals eat them, and the milk, and all of the above. All of the following. So I feel like we have to kick it off with feta. I think feta is probably around the world the most well-known Mediterranean cheese offhand. Like if you said, what's a Mediterranean cheese in a trivia night? I feel like people are going to say feta.
For sure, feta.
And there are all different fetas we could have sourced for you. This is the one that we ended up with. Yay, travel, import and export, and different scenarios that happened. We always plan out our Cheese of the Month Club like a year in advance and order cheese, and then things that decide to come in. So feta is also in many different languages just known as white cheese. It has been around for over 2 millennia. So Homer and the Odyssey and Alexander the Great ate basically the exact same cheese that we are eating today.
And it was one of the first cheeses that could actually transport because it's a brined cheese. So you could make it, put it in a clay pot, put some brine in there and seal it. And so it actually was the first cheese that could transport across the oceans.
Yeah, and so what else do I want to say? This is a PDO cheese, so it's name controlled, meaning it's a specific cheese that has to be made with a certain ratio of goat and sheep's milk and goat's milk, I should say the sheep's first. Why sheep and goat milk? Well, it was particularly in Greece, but in this area, it is not known and conducive to pasture lands that are great for cattle and for grazing and dairy cows. And instead it is these really steep mountainsides, this dry, hot, arid climate that is more suited towards sheep and goats.
And not just any mountain in this case, but Mount Olympus, which is awesome. So that's what we're going to be tasting from today.
And the name feta actually so it got the name years later. It wasn't called feta when Alexander the Great was eating it. We got the name years later, and that refers to the process of how it's cut and how it's made. And this cheese is a fresh cheese. We call it a fresh cheese even though this is aged out. And basically it's because you're brining it and trying to seal it in this sort of fresh state.
But it's rineless. It's got that classic rineless characteristic that we talked about in our cheese classes if you've gotten to attend one.
Yeah, and so you salt the outside. You don't press this cheese and drain the water out. You salt it, and then in fact it goes through 2 ripening stages. And the first stage is in this brine solution at hotter temperatures, warmer temperatures, so that this microbial activity can occur. And then the second is into cooler, cold chambers, and staying there for 2 months. So then really you want this cheese to cure for about 2 months. Although I have had it younger, it needs to cure a little bit.
And the special one that we brought in for this one goes through a different additional ripening stage, which this is our barrel aged feta. So eventually what will happen, it's aged for a total of 4 months, and it's aged in a beechwood barrel. And so
smell it, y'all.
Right? Like thinking about other preservation techniques like winemaking that use barrels or some of the alcohol. The cheesemakers in Greece, it's rarely used now, but it's traditional. Will actually take these pieces of cheese and put them in the brine inside of a barrel and let it age. And it takes on some of the tannin, a very light sort of toasty note to it. It gets a little drier, a little crumblier, but it is a pretty amazing, outstanding product. So this comes from Mount Vikos. It's got that sheep and goat milk. The goats and the sheep get to play up on Mount Olympus, eat wild grasses and herbs.
And if for some reason you get a bite and the outside is too salty, break it open. The inside is going to taste differently. You can just straight up, one of my favorite ways to eat this, which actually we got to credit with Pure Luck Farm and Dairy here locally in Texas. They make what some people have considered to be America's best feta. It's 100% goat's milk. So, but for theirs, they will just crumble this up, drizzle it in extra virgin olive oil, chop up whatever fresh herbs they have. So rosemary, mint, whatever it is that's coming out of your garden. And then scoop it out and eat it that way.
With the olive oil.
Yeah.
So heavenly.
And the olive oil makes it pop and dances with that salt. I love the play of the fat with that acid. So put this in a salad. There's so many recipes out there right now for a melon and feta salad. Lots of different things going on, but really salt is that pronounced salt, and tanginess are those pronounced flavors.
I can't stop eating it right now, y'all. That is so good. In the last month, I couldn't eat any because I had to talk the whole time.
I know, I'm sorry.
This is amazing.
We were double dutying. I had kids.
You have kids. We owe it. Yeah. But this is so good today.
Creamy. I love that barrel on there. That makes this one a little bit unique. So yeah, have fun, play with it, eat it straight up, put it in salads. Go for it.
Yeah, just enjoy it. All right, cheese number 2. Nocchetto di capra.
I know our nocchetto has
oozed
itself out.
Look at
this, y'all. Let me just look, like butter. Oh my gosh.
Our kids are gonna flip out when they get to eat.
They love us filming these videos because they're like, oh, it's cheese now.
You want to share the cream line?
No, you go for that. I'll go for this. Okay, so nocchetto di capra. This is a bloomy rind cheese. Bloomy rinds, many of you know, is the family that Brie and Camembert fall in. What's your visual cue? It has this thin white skin on the outside. When you look, although this is almost all cream line, you can see the different textures and layers between the rind, the creaminess, and then the very innermost part is the most solid. It's because the molds on the outside are breaking down those proteins and making it a creamier cheese as it ages.
And so this comes from the affineurs at Arnaldi. It's San and goat. So San and goat are we call them.
We're traveling to Italy. We forgot to say.
Yeah, we're going to Italy. So San and goat are these big fluffy white goats. They're beautiful. They make amazing milk. The flavor on this is very crisp and clean and bright. Still some good acidity coming from that goat milk. Typically, in Italy. It's not really known for goat's milk. You don't hear about too many, but in certain parts of the the northern and northwestern, you'll hear about roviolas, and you'll hear about these special cheeses that are made. And Nochetta di Capra is one of those beauties. It's not aged very long. It's got this really delicate texture.
Now, goat's milk cheeses are normally known for really bringing out that tangy acidity, but the way this one's made, I really get more of that sweetness in there.
Like,
a little bit like walnut oil, like that.
And it's got this beautiful rind. So definitely it's almost spongy on the inside. And like, you should enjoy that. You should dive in. Goes great with, bubbles, Prosecco. It's from Piemonte, Italy, which is got some super cool wines that come from that region. So if you can pair it out, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
And there are, on our piece, which is cool, there is a little yellow dot here.
Flowering.
This is, and another one on this other side. Yellow mold is very beautiful and very common. Well, actually, it's not very common. On certain cheeses.
But it is not surprising on the mold, and it is edible and part of the cheese.
It's beautiful. One of our all-time favorite cheeses, Tom Creuse's flowers with some of the yellow, but you don't see it that often, and on these wheels you do, and I'm really excited for you.
And it speaks to their unique aging methods and chambers and the terroir that is in those that is hard to replicate elsewhere. Can you eat the rind? Absolutely. Sure. Try the rind. If you like it, keep going. I would also love this with a piece of chocolate alongside of it, just dipped into it. I don't know, craving it right now. Okay, what are we doing next?
We are on to Mahon Reserva. So
you're going to know this one by the orange rind.
Yeah. And this is awesome. So I'm actually feeling it. It is firmer than our Dalmatinets, the next cheese, but we put it in the third place based off flavor profile. So this is Mahon Reserva. Mahon is the second most popular cheese in Spain. It comes from the Balearic Islands. It is
in Menorca.
Yeah, and it is cow's milk, and the cheesemaker will take. Like Mahon itself typically is sold fairly young. It's a square wheel, which is so cool. So if you've seen Taleggio, you know that it's got some curved corners, but it's still square. He'll take this and rub it in olive oil, his young wheels, and age it out for an extra year. And so you get these super cool butterscotch notes. Really dense texture.
You may also wonder, we've talked about like this climate being dry and arid and more suitable to sheep and goats. So why is this a cow's milk cheese? Well, this island is really humid, but has these great pasture lands that are great for dairy cows. You can also tell that this comes from grass-fed cows because of this deep yellow hue. So if this was a more whiter color, you would think, oh, the cows are eating on more substitutes and not as much grass, but you can see without the addition of food dye inside the cheese, that they are grass-fed dairy cows. How's it tasting?
Oh, it's so good today. You get really amazing flavor profiles coming. Again, that butterscotch.
It's like the best piece of Mahon I've tasted in recent memory.
Yep. No, 100%. And definitely try the rind. It's edible. You'll likely get some of that olive oil finish. The cheesemaker Pedro just crushes it. And this is Mahon Reserva.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sweet, nutty. I think
try the rind.
The American palate who says things are sharp, this will hit you for that sharp note, even though we actually describe that differently in cheese. It has this nice acidic bite. As I taste it, my sides of my tongue are producing saliva, and I want to dive back in for more.
Yeah, and it's, and the flavor just keeps going and going and going.
I love smelling that rind.
I ate the rind. It is happy. It is so good.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't have eaten the rind.
Yeah, no, I know.
Tell me to eat it.
It's not wax. It's the semi-dried curd with olive oil on the outside.
And pimenton or what?
I don't know if there's pimenton on it.
Some coloring, whether it's annatto or
That's so good.
Okay, let's do the next one.
Next one, Dalmatinets. This is from Croatia. This was the second Croatian cheese we carried. Paski Sirana is the cheese maker. They make Paski Sir, which is one of the world's best sheep's milk cheeses. It comes from the Isle of Pog, and it's made with Pog sheep milk. And what makes it a really special cheese is it's a very rugged landscape, this island, very rocky. And so it takes extra work for the grasses and wild herbs and things to grow, and so they become a bit more intense and flavorful. And the sheep roam and eat those, and then create these amazing cheeses. And the cheesemakers are world class. Now, sheep's milk doesn't. Sheep don't produce all year round, and so in an effort to balance, production cycles and their popularity, they made this second cheese, which is 90% cow, 10% sheep. And so they can source cow's milk cheese from some neighbors and then use some of their sheep that are still on land. They're not on pasture per se, but and make it.
And sheep's milk is richer and fattier, and so it just adds different consistency, flavor to it. I would, if you hadn't tasted these, and it's always different. This is what's cool about artisanal cheese, but I would have put this cheese before this one. On my palate personally, I am getting an antihistamine reaction. So if you ate the Mahon Reserva and you're getting a little prickly on your tongue, that's okay. That's normal. That's often characteristic in some of these styles of cheeses. But anyway, so those prickles are still, don't freak out, that happens. And nothing is happening. But that's still present while I was tasting this.
And I think though, fortunately, the flavor of the Dalmatinec stands up.
I'm an apple.
You can still taste it, right? It's not that it was overwhelmed.
This has a natural rind. You should eat this one too. This would be great also with with a red wine. Bringing out those more cave-like molds and flavors and earthy tones. On the top, you may just have a little bit of where the label was, so you don't have to eat that part, but it is just paper. But you can eat this rind as well.
So good.
All right.
That tasted amazing.
Last up.
Oh, that cheese did win like a gold medal at the World Championships in 2014.
Yeah, it did.
Super cool. All right, y'all.
I don't know what this hand thing was, but go Dalmatinec.
All right.
Last cheese, Andazul.
Another goat's milk. So this is
Spain, Andalusia.
Payoyo goat milk. I have never had Payoyo goat milk. This will be my first bite. And I am
This is why we do Cheese Club, so we can keep learning.
We can bring stuff in. So Ana Rosado is a cheesemaker in Andalusia. And she is
I'm into this texture, y'all.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. She is the mastermind behind this blue cheese. She also makes another cheese that I have gotten a taste before called Monte Alva. She ages this cheese about 3 to 4 months and also rubs this in olive oil. So it's got this fudgy texture. It's going to be based off of the amount of bluing, mild. There's not that much. You can see our piece doesn't have much on that side. So it's going to be hopefully more of a gateway blue with that natural earthiness.
And they recommended, which I loved, melting this on roasted potatoes and enjoying it with a glass of sherry. I could totally see that because it actually eats very rich, and so
rich. It's got a high acid to it.
A little bit, not in an unpleasant way. A little bit of animal-y.
Yeah, a little gamey.
Yeah, a little bit of that on it.
Yeah, but I could live with that. That's.
And I love showcasing the differences in different goat milk. Goat's milk cheeses often have a certain flavor characteristic that actually is very different from the Nochedo de Capra and the Andazul. So this is showcasing how different goat milk cheeses really can be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so yeah, 2 cheeses on the plate that are rubbed in olive oil. Again, that Mediterranean food sustenance lifestyle of olive oil.
And every one of these would go great if you had some olive oil on the side. If you have some nuts and some fruit, I would do that smorgasbord as you're enjoying it.
Oh my gosh, that was an amazing plate.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep eating.
All right.
I'm going to just keep going and going and going.
I don't even know what we have planned for you for August, although it's in the works. We ordered the cheese a long time ago. We'll see if it comes. If this is your last month, we hope you sign up and keep doing it with us.
Come hang out with us still.
Tell us what you like. Tell us what you want more of. Tell us how to change this up for you. We are always open to making this your cheese club. And as far as I know, we're happy to be the only cheese club with these videos coming to you live from our house.
Awesome.
So thank you guys. Go enjoy your Mediterranean selection of cheeses, and we'll see you in August.
Bye, y'all.